Hope you're enjoying your summer. Hope you're enjoying the Olympics. It's been much improved from the 2021 edition. I feel bad for the organizers at Tokyo. They were dealt a very bad deck coming off of COVID. That probably the worst Olympics because there's no fans and the fans make the Olympics. Paris has been able to benefit from that on a great variety of events. I enjoyed track and field, the swimming, the wrestling, all very good. I mean, even beach volleyball. Beach volleyball, they keep telling you it's the sport of the next century. It's these sports, but that's the Olympics. This is supposed to be a showcase of sports that don't have the backing of the media or major organizations where the masses want to watch it. This is for those sports to have their moment. Maybe a few less sports to be perfect. Race walking. Somebody has to put that sport out of its misery. We don't need that. I'm sorry. I told you. No. Maybe a few less strokes in the swimming. My belief is whatever gets you from one side of the pool to the other, that's who you give the gold medal to. And I'm just nitpicking here. By the way, has anyone noticed Snoop Dogg at the Olympics? I'm an Angelino. I love Snoop Dogg, but dude, we don't need to see you every 5 minutes. All due respect, Snoop. All due respect. But I know NBC is pushing their shows. He's going to be on The Voice. You see the SNL characters. You see the cast from Alf and Family Ties or whatever. All over the place. That's what NBC does. And I'm sure NBC is raking in big numbers. They do an amazing job. All those sports deserve that platform. Soccer does not. And I know I've been singing this song for a long time, championing this cause. And I don't know if it's going to happen because the IOC does so well with soccer with regards to attendance, TV numbers, etc., that it'll probably be there in some shape or form. But soccer's pushing back. We have seen that. And I think not just the men, but eventually the women need to form an exit strategy with regards to their big players. Let this be a different kind of tournament. Some say it's an under-23 World Cup, a de facto under-23 World Cup. It's not that. I don't know what it is. We don't know what this tournament is. And again, this is the men, but I think the women, as it grows, we've seen some leaps and bounds, and we'll get to that in a moment, why soccer out of the Olympics and focus on where their bread is buttered. That's what we'll break down here on the Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast, where all podcasts have been available. I know I haven't been on there the last week or so. I have been traveling. I can't even believe I'm here at my studio. I've had a ball traveling all over the country covering Leagues Cup. I hope you've tuned in on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. This competition is growing. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. It is a hoot. The Mexican teams are engaged, and the best lies ahead, starting with a round of 32. So check it out. Like and subscribe us here. All right, I know I've said all this before, and we'll start with the men. The Olympics men's tournament used to be a big deal, going back to wartime, the Berlin Olympics, and going forward so many, this was the event. The World Cup came around and it changed everything. Then the Euros, and then the Copa. All of these tournaments continue to grow. We always saw this as like a major that we had to take seriously, and we did. And it is a big deal for the athletes, and I don't want to diminish that, because going to represent your country, Scotty Scheffler, golf, we saw that he was in tears. This is a guy who wins the Masters. He wins every major in golf, and this meant a lot for him. And those moments are very special. And, it's been bastardized a little bit because people go for their fourth, their fifth, their sixth Olympics, and that's probably, one time is right, 2 times would be ideal, and then, so whatever it is. The Olympics has become an afterthought. The world of soccer has pushed back. FIFA, UEFA, no one releases players if they have to. And it's not just the senior players. It is the under-23 players. It's the under-21 players. No one is like, sorry. That's just changed recently. I think if you go back, remember Messi played because it was important to the players. You saw that in South America. You saw that in Africa. The Neymar in 2012 at the London Olympics, wanting to represent Brazil. Huge game against Germany. That was the last great game we have had, I think, in the men. And it's gone like this, and it's starting to get sharper and sharper decline. And I did not enjoy these Olympics. I was happy to see the U.S. I've watched the women. The women's tournament has gone like this too. You don't always have the best teams there. It's a 16-team tournament. You have 3-day intervals of games. The USA, I've watched every game. The quality of play has dropped because they should have more than 3 days. They're squeezing this tournament in to this 3 weeks. They started several days before, which I've said on this program is weird. I mean, that's where you're trying to, the old adage, squeezing 2 pounds of you-know-what in a 1-pound bag. That's what it feels like. It doesn't quite fit. By the way, basketball is another one I think has to look at this as well. I mean, they have more important things to focus on. Granted, they don't have all these summer tournaments, so soccer is in the crosshairs. I don't know what it is we're watching. The product is not enjoyable. What is it? It's not a senior tournament. I mean, the USA, let's just take them. Their best youth players did not come. Whether it's Gio Reyna or Yunus Musa or Joe Scally, and the list goes on. None of those guys. Some of them did. The 23 and over eligible players that we thought we could get, maybe a Christian Pulisic. Nope. Ricardo Pepi. I mean, we're going down a couple rungs here. No. That was the guy I thought would come here and say, all right, I'll be the striker. Let's get a gold medal. Didn't happen. What about other teams? Ashraf Hakimi is probably the biggest star here. Morocco wanted to win this. They fell short in their attempts, but they wanted to win this to add to their World Cup semifinal. Other than that, Michael Olise, what? I don't know what we're really watching it. So the development is a foregone conclusion. So the product itself, not good. Empty stadiums by and large. I mean, look, we're coming off the Euros. There were no empty stadiums. The Copa America, there were barely any empty stadiums. The fans were coming out in droves. Look at the Copa America final. It was not the way it should have been handled, but you see the interest level. That is not here at the Olympics. The women's semifinal against Germany, I mean, you could hear every scream and you could hear everything said from the sidelines. That felt like it was during the pandemic. And this is the best women's sport. And look, we saw the World Cup. The euphoria in Australia and New Zealand was through the roof. I have pitched to get rid of the Olympics on the women's side. I've suggested a biennial World Cup. I know that will never fly, but why not? The women's sport needs to grow, and that would be the way to do it. However, a Euros has grown. The CONCACAF W Gold Cup, which was held in 2024 in February, March, that went really well. I mean, it was an expanded tournament. You had some of the South American teams, whether it's the W Gold Cup or whether it's the Copa America Femenil, and they couldn't bring in the U.S. and Canada. The options are huge here for the women's game in the Americas. 2026 is a World Cup year. 2028, whether it's a W Gold Cup or the Copa America Femenil, that should be where the U.S. women are focused on, not these Olympic Games. We've always said it's such an important date for the women, and the women need fixtures, and I don't think it's going to go away. But I think they have to start looking at those alternatives because the alternatives are going to be better. So that is in place. And by the way, I mean, I'm recording this before the women's final. It's a USA-Brazil final. So Brazil was the finalist at the W Gold Cup. So the Americas are improving. Colombia was at the Olympics and made the knockouts at the World Cup. Jamaica did at the World Cup. Canada is the reigning Olympic champion. You've got quality here. And Brazil was the one that you wanted to see. You know Argentina is going to get better at this. Mexico is improving by leaps and bounds. You have a field there. I don't think you need to go to these Olympics. Again, it's people could argue me, but you can't. The quality is not there. But let's look at some other alarm bells regarding the games. So I found it interesting that when you look at the main broadcasters on NBC, John Champion, top broadcaster, he's not doing the men. You know why? Because he knows it's not going to be the payoff. He's doing the women. Whoever made that decision. Andres Cantor, when we hear him in the goal calls, it's because he's at the women's, the USA women's. That's the biggest draw. the men's tournament is by and large, and again, what exposed it is what we saw at Copa America and more so at the Euros. And the teams are releasing less and less players, as we saw. The rosters have been gutted. I want to just, there's some countries that take this seriously, but there are others that not. Italy has not made an Olympics since 2008. Netherlands and Belgium, I can't remember when they were in there. And that's not because they can't qualify. Qualifying is very difficult. It's a 16-team tournament. It's because they don't care. A lot of countries don't care. They just don't see it. The teams that cared this year, Morocco, France did because they're the host. Spain are just so good that they can field anyone and do pretty well. They are the gold standard right now. But this is not important. I also would add, we look at the teams that have won it. We said, okay, this is what we said about the U.S. They make the Olympics. It's good. I'm not saying this isn't good for U.S. development. Major competitions matter. We don't have enough. I'm not saying it's a negative approach, but I am saying that the payoff could be better if we start focusing on an alternative. And I believe they are out there. And look, the footballing bodies are filling the calendar, and we're looking for things to take off. We don't take off the Euros. You don't take off the Gold Cup, which is going to expand in 2025 ahead of the World Cup. You don't take off the FIFA Club World Cup. You don't take off, because these things work. These things are going to make money and get people excited. The one that isn't is the Olympics. So if we're looking to shed, that is where I think we need to do it. You can just tell the interest is lagging compared to what we saw. And the Copa America is going to grow. The U.S. will be back there. And that is and the Gold Cup is where, that's your organization. Do not defer to the IOC. That is that is a recipe for disaster. But I also want to finish with this about the countries that have done well, because it's good the U.S. qualified. It's good that they made the quarters. If they won a medal, would it change things for us? Well, did it change anything for Nigeria in 1996? That's a program that's gone sideways or down. Cameroon won gold in 2000. Hasn't really helped African football. Morocco made a semifinal, but Morocco's a little different. They follow a more European example. Their players are by and large from France and Spain and many other African countries like that. But that pipeline is so connected that they are almost, it's all due respect. They're an African country, but they have a European sensibility, and that's where they're going to do well moving forward. They're going to win a lot of stuff. So Nigeria didn't help. Cameroon didn't help. Mexico won a gold. Did that help? It's time. If we keep pushing this and we come back in 2028, it's going to get worse. 2032, everything's going to get worse. So I think the soccer will stay at the Olympics, but let it be under 18, 17, I don't know. But whatever this is, and look, when it does become that, we're not going to watch. But we're not watching now. This is just not a good product. And we've seen it now start to erode the women's game because the women's game has been so successful elsewhere. It's all about perception, right? You see the Women's World Cup become this phenomenon. The W Gold Cup looked pretty darn good. This does not compare. So we'll see what happens. That has been my stance. I gave it a good run this time in Paris. It's just not worth the squeeze. And I don't think, people are trying to create a verdict about American soccer based on the Olympics, but specifically with the men. You can't do it. You can't do it on a team that doesn't have its best players or its best young players. It is folly. So let's be real about it. Once we be real about it, let's see it, we'll see. The Olympics is not a good product for the sport. Everywhere else it is. Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast. Like and subscribe us here, and we will continue. We're going. We are going. There's no rest. There's no rest here. Check out the Leagues Cup. MLS Season Pass, Apple TV.